Okay, it's going to take a second. All right, we are live. Should be. Let's see if it shows up. Yep, we're live. We are. All right, we're live. Okay. All right, so people who are watching, that's dope. That's super dope. Just give us a few minutes. We'll see if there's anybody else that's going to join in, and we'll probably start in the next couple of minutes. Hi, this is me. I'm Nam, based out of LA. Here's Scotty. He's way more interesting right now because he's out of the country.
Yeah. Hey, look at what I found here, man.
Yes, entertain our viewers, Scotty.
Yeah. See, we've been trying to try out all of the little microbrews out here, and because I'm just a nerd, I bought the one that had the bear on it.
Nice.
It's actually rather nice. And okay, we did an escape room today, first time. My wife, kids, and I.
Yeah. Did you guys escape?
We escaped. We did have to ask for a couple of clues because we'd never done one before, and at the very beginning, we were kind of like,
how does this work? Yeah.
Pretty much. And well, the clue that started everything, we had to actually put. I had no idea that you could even do it, but you had to put something that we had found on a picture, and then by putting it on the special spot on the picture, it opened something. And we thought we weren't supposed to F up the pictures because the guy had said, don't touch the furniture, don't look in the books. And we're like, okay. So that was a little bit of a stall. And since my wife doesn't listen to the show, my daughter and I have been giving her nonstop grief because at one point she opened up a clue and then took the stuff and threw it in the corner. And I was trying to decipher these 3 sheets that had bullet holes in them and numbers because, the numbers give a code. It really would have been useful if I had had the gun with the tag and the number of bullets, which she had shoved over to the side. So we've been teasing her mercilessly about that.
All right. Well, we have 3 viewers. I'd say that's enough right now. I'll keep blasting the link out as we go along. Hang on, let me retweet us with Golden Blogs first, and then we'll just get started.
3 viewers. Right. So let's see. My mom, your mom, and
my mom doesn't. My mom literally does not know what football is. That'd be hilarious though if my mom was watching. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, and my mom may listen to us later, but I don't know that she'd be watching us live.
All right, let's go ahead and do this. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling pod in the history of all podcasts. This is The Pod is on the Field. My name is Nam Lay. This is Scott Chong. We are joined this week basically recapping the heartbreaking loss against USC for what is the 14th straight time. So I've literally, and I continue to go over half my life without a win against USC. Scotty, take it away.
So I'm torn, right? Because the rational part of you wants to say we had no business being in this game. Not on paper, not at all. Like when you look at depth charts, personnel, and so you want to try to, salvage some type of moral victory from that. Like we're a year early, we're ahead of schedule. It just still sucks, man. It's just another in a long ways of like, this is how morbid I was. I was thinking the other day of ranking, by heartbreak, the different losses to SC. Like, is it better to start off the game with, a special teams gaff where we fumble, they punch it in, and we're down, like 30-0 in the first quarter? Just that gets all the illusions out of it, and you're okay. Is it better to kind of linger on a little, show some love, or is it like this one where this was a little new? This was different. Within the last 14, where we went toe to toe. We went toe to toe, and you cannot say that we weren't in this and didn't have a legit shot at this. Stats and personnel be damned. And I'm not sure if that makes it hurt more or less.
Oh, I have a very strong opinion on this. This is very easy for me. If it's a blowout, and we've seen a lot of blowouts, like they all blur together because you can't remember any specific moment of them because you just look like a fool for 150 plays and 3-4 hours, whatever. You get that out of your mind with early, and if you're in the stadium and you're getting blown out, you just talk to your friends and you hang out and you stay to the bitter end because you have nothing better to do with your life and you would respect yourself less if you left early. At least that's for me. But these kinds of losses, the kinds of losses that you can pin down to 1, 2, 3, 4 plays, the kinds of losses where you second guess and you have these kinds of heartbreaking moments or where one or two things just goes wrong. I think those are the ones that stick with you. And whenever it is that the streak ends, we're going to remember a game like this far more than we did, any of the games where SC like destroyed us.
Yeah, I know, man. I was just trying to give you sort of a that I was kind of bumping that one up. That was sort of a easy softball lob because like I remember the phantom Kerry Colbert touchdown. I remember McConan slipping in the end zone. I remember actually driving off the road and missing a turn when Ayub threw an interception, but that's another thing. But
That
yeah,
that story could have gone a lot worse. I remember driving off the
it,
road. Could have gone a
yeah,
lot worse.
it was not good because I was actually it was a fishing tournament of all things, and you shouldn't be towing a fishing boat while listening to a Cal game. It's just not healthy. It really is not.
Oh man. All right. So that's our initial reaction. Uh, I mean, the way I put it afterwards is like, I'm pissed that I'm pissed. Like I was entering the game kind of just like, you know what, this is a house money game. We show up, we look good, great. If we look terrible, whatever. Like we're a brand new team. And then for us to play that well, to play out of our minds, to look so well prepared, to not fear the Trojans whatsoever, and then to just barely come up short is way more annoying to me. It's totally devastating. And I think that speaks volumes to what we have in Coach Wilcox and Coach DeRuyter, and to some degree right now, Coach Baldwin. Um, I am happy that we're ahead of schedule. Now, does that necessarily mean anything yet? Unless we're bowl eligible this year, maybe, maybe not. But um, at least they made it a game, and when none of us were expecting it to be.
It's kind of, I suppose, it's one of those twisted, morbid ways of saying it's good that it hurts this much because we care. We're still relevant. The team's still relevant. You've got guys like Robot Larry, who has no human emotions whatsoever and hasn't been to any games, now saying that he wants to go to 7 this year. That's how that's how touched he was by the effort he saw. And like look at us, man. We're a couple of football nerds here, and we're I spent I'm on vacation, and
He's in
I double
Montreal, you
caffeinated.
guys.
Yeah, I double caffeinated and ignored my kids to watch the game on YouTube, and I kind of live tweeted my reactions. Then I spent a good portion of today scouting Oregon, reading up on defensive scheme. Like these are not things that you do when the team sucks and you don't really respect the coaching staff, right? You could kind of wing it and just go, okay, yep, we stop. Like really, I can't even tell you how many articles I read on Oregon's defense and how all about, because Wilcox and company are making us care again. Darn it! Every time we think we're out, they drag us back in.
So I guess we do still owe it to the viewers, even though it's Tuesday night and everybody is tired of talking the game. We want to do some post-mortem. Which side of the ball do you want to start with first, Scotty?
Why don't we start on the defense? Because I think that'll be brief. Well, let's we start on our defense. That'll be brief, right? Because I don't have anything bad to say about our defense. Not at all. Like they were the freaking 300 and 300. What I love, and here's the thing that's spooky. So I was thinking the other night in a sleep deprived haze, something about how honey badger don't care, and how could I sort of apply it to these bears, because that's what I kept thinking of when I see those guys, right? Put in a bad situation over and over again, going up against 5 stars, backed up by 5 stars. They don't care. And I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that honey bear just sounds stupid. So I was at a loss. And then, of course, this morning I log on to Twitter and I see that you were thinking of, all right, hey, California doesn't scare, Cal don't scare. And I'm like, man, I love it. I absolutely love it. That's the new tag for this year, because Cal don't scare. You look at the people they're putting out there and the confidence they have. They are not just riding their starters to death. Like you look at that, they are rotating. They are building depth for the future, and they have confidence in those guys. They are, like I kept kind of sarcastically posting, oh yeah, hey, that's a Heisman worthy overthrow. That's a Heisman worthy throwaway. That's a Heisman worthy timeout taken, because the guys are playing fast. And that's the thing I think that impresses me the most, is the whole theory behind our simple defense previously was it's simple. So young guys can play faster sooner because they have less to think about. Sure as heck didn't look that way on the field. So it's more complex now. You got guys, we have a lot of different looks where we're trying to get pressure with just 4, but the only way that works is, you're leaning on those linebackers to both cover, blitz, handle a lot of responsibilities. Basically, the complexity of defense has gone up, and yet our guys are playing faster. And that says a heck of a lot to the coaches. And then the second part, which really, really impresses me, is it's one of your guys. I know you're starting to smirk already, but the emergence of guys like Cam Good.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, who would have ever thought, right? Let's your other receipt guy, Devontae Downs. What really, there was a point in the game where SC had the perfect call. We had a double inside charge. So both Davison and Downs blitzed up the middle. And SC pulls back, sees it, throws a swing pass to their halfback in the flat. Perfect call against an inside blitz. In the past, and I have seen a hell of a lot more of these than you, that swing pass goes for a touchdown, man. It just does every single time. And yet Cam Good kind of tracks him down short of the yard marker, and he sets up that 4th down stop where Looney goes and blows the play up. And they had a better play call than we did. They won the chess match, and yet our guy won his one-on-one. We just haven't had that. Pretty darn cool to see. Just from a process and the development part, and I know this is mildly geeking out, but that excited me.
So I want to read you guys what I originally wrote about Cam Good as my scouting report. This is a banner season for me. Look, one, my friend Peter, good friend Peter from CGB, said that Dan, if you can hit on about 50% of your guys, you're a top level scout. Now, I went and I did the math. Guys that I officially have receipts on, we're at 50%. And that's not the definition of starter. It's the definition of actual impact player. This is a banner year for me. Now, again, I'm not a professional talent evaluator, but I go with my guts. In fact, I'm honestly surprised most of the time that you guys continue to take my opinion seriously, but whatever. I will never have a year better than this year. When it comes to prediction making and what have you, at least in regards to the players. So originally, this is from August 1st, 2015. In some ways, Good reminds me of Isaiah Tongalava too, who was another undersized guy who ran well in the open field. Good's quicker to react on tape than Tongalava, though, and seeing Good break on the ball spectacularly at these clips makes me project him as a future linebacker that doesn't need to come off the field when the defense is in nickel. Football is going in the direction that needs athletic, rangy players in space like Good who can keep pace with the ever-increasing speed offenses want, especially in the slot. If these are the plays he can maintain at 220 to 225 pounds, seriously, watch out. It's that weight that's going to be the biggest factor right now. I mean, I'd say I called it to a T. That kid's going to be really.
Well, it's not just his speed, man. It's the fact that the speed is one thing, right? Like the coverage ability, the getting out there, but it's sort of like against Ole Miss. They had a play where they went on the edge, and he shed a defensive end, and that made me say, "Whoa!" Right? Because it's one thing to be able to, okay, hey, I'm out there, I'm covering, I'm in space, no one's got his hands on me. He kind of shoved his way through. He shoved his way through a lineman to force, the kind of turn to play in, and we gang tackled him. And that's just kind of like, dude, we haven't had linebackers be able to do that in years. So that was exciting to see. Just we're seeing what happens when you've got guys put in a position to compete, and they're clearly confident, they're growing confident, and you just have to hope that they're building the depth. And like there's a lot of young faces where you look in, like with the exception of those senior linebackers and Looney, a lot of the other folks in there, especially in the secondary, you go, yeah, could they keep getting better?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really impressed. We should move it away from the defense pretty soon, but I think we're just dancing around the fact of how dreadful our offensive performance was. Defensive things. One, the secondary did not allow a 20-yard pass to a future Heisman hopeful, Sam Darnold. Personally, I think he's a little bit overrated. I follow a lot of X's and O's guys who suggest that his mechanics break down under heavy pass rush, which is probably what we noticed as well. But I wasn't really impressed by Sam Darnold. And I was a guy who thought he was the most talented quarterback in the Pac-12 heading into this week. But, we made him look fairly ordinary, at least ordinary enough to where we could have conceivably won the game had a couple of things bounced differently. So if that's me talking shit about Sam Darnold after the fact, whatever. But our secondary looked good. We didn't even allow a 20-yard pass. And most of those guys, Elijah Hicks, Cam Good, Josh Drayden almost had 2-3 picks on the afternoon. All those guys are going to be multi-year starters. We didn't really see that much Darius. We didn't see that much Marlon Franklin, and that speaks volumes to the guys who stepped up. Overall, when we get a front three and the depth in the front three that we're looking for and hoping for. And again, I am so sad that Devontae Downs did not arrive earlier. Which also makes me like duty bound to brag as much as possible that I knew this was coming in 2014. Like,
your older and more experienced partner did say it takes a year. So every time you start beating your chest, got to go back to that. Takes a year, man.
Look at you, Scotty. Try to get in on the bandwagon that I have driven.
You can look at hey, you played back the shows last year, and I told you, like the guy, it's a year away. Absolutely. Told you it was a year away. Said it at the beginning. You have got to be a special player to go in, and it's just that first year starting at the Pac-12 level, you're going to take your lumps. Those two positions are really hard before you start playing fast. And what we don't know, so as we're starting to figure out, defensive coaching kind of a hot mess last few years, right? Understatement.
Dude, hot mess is, I was about to say understatement also. Yes, go ahead.
Right. Well, so what we'll learn about a lot next year is heir presumptive, Evan Weaver or Alex Funches, See, and what's different, what's not fair is that the way we did it before is we so heavily leaned on our starters that our backups get in there and they had nothing. This year we're rotating guys in. Next year may be the year you break the mold where you have new starters at that inside linebacker spot, and you see them show early. You see them look like they know what they're doing, which would be cool. That would be very cool. It would break with the tradition of takes a year at that safety and linebacker slot before you really show.
All right, last couple things on the defense. One, we played our balls off. Look, if you hold a top 5 team in the country to 4.7 yards, they would be in the bottom 20 to 30 in the country. There is really no reason to feel upset with what the defense put together. Honestly, if I was on the defense, I would feel extremely mad that the offense blew it. But that's just me. That being said, they didn't allow 30 points. We all know that. If you're an intelligent football watcher, they got put in some really bad spots. The front three particularly held up way better than I thought. And yes, they didn't have Ronald Jones, and maybe that's why USC didn't run inside more. But I'm gonna take it.
Hey man, I have zero sympathy for SC. Like if there is a team that can handle having guys, like, so you're bringing, oh dear, Ronald Jones is out. We're only going to bring a 5-star running back in as his backup. The heck with the depth thing and people being out, and they're claiming that, oh, they lack peace. Oh, come on, that's BS.
Whatever,
like,
man.
Dude, yeah, like
we played outstanding on defense. We should.
The defense did it. They throw the stars to the side. They know the defense punched them in the mouth. They held up, blow for blow. All props to the D.
All right, so I guess I'm just gonna have to fall on this sword. All right, let's just remember
any. We don't remember the other part of the ball, right? That wasn't important.
No, Scotty, we got to do this. Okay, we got to do this.
Go ahead.
Leave these memories out of the country or whatever. It never happened. Look, I understand. We have a guy who's making his 4th career start. I do not mean to be excessively negative, but
Hater.
Oh my God.
Hater.
Oh my God. You haven't even let me finish my comments yet.
I'm sorry, that must have just slipped out, but go ahead.
Okay, it was an allergic reaction, right? Okay, look. Here's my take. I watched the throws several times. I know Ross Bowers is starting his 4th game ever, and I know he's going to get better. But oh my God, that was brutal. That was basically, and I know he's going to take an unfair and undue amount of criticism as the team's quarterback regardless, but if Ross Bowers even plays average, we're going to win this game going away. He picked a less than ideal time to have the likely worst game that he will ever have. And I think part of the reason why I'm reacting so strongly and wording this so strongly is because we came closer than we've ever come to beating SC while I've covered the team. And a large part of it just comes down to whether or not he was capable. And on Saturday, he was not.
So here's my question for you.
Yes.
Are you talking about first half Bowers, second half Bowers, or do you not see a difference? Are you not distinguishing between the two?
I mean, of course I'm distinguishing, right?
No, you're not. You're just saying that he was basically, well, you're saying that if he played average. Now, I think there's a distinction to be made there, right? Like if he played average, because are you saying aggregate average, or are you saying first half performance? Like, would you say he didn't play average in the first half?
I would say he didn't play average, period. I would say he did not play average, period. So I'm gonna read some numbers to you guys. All right. So these are, again, all numbers are unofficial. For some reason, I came up with 8 missing yards, whatever. Like, I'm doing the charting by hand, so you can't really be mad at me because this is something I'm just undertaking for myself. 1. And again, I'm giving away insider information that people technically pay for on stream right now. 1. Ross Bowers on passes 21 yards or more in the air was 1 of 8 for 27 yards with 2 interceptions. He has not completed any game this year with more than 2 passes of over 21 yards. I recognize that we do not have our best deep threat out, but remember, in games in which we've even had our best deep threat, he has still thrown the ball with poor accuracy 21 plus yards down the field. Now, again, even with short accuracy, this week he was 13 of 30 unofficially with 101 yards and 2 throwaways. So 60% of his throws were within behind the line of scrimmage to 10 yards in the air. He completed 13 of 30. Now, I personally don't think that. Okay, so in the first quarter, he was 5 of 11 for 52 yards with what I charted as 1 throwaway, 1 drop, 1 interception, 1 exceedingly tough throw, and 1 off target. In the second quarter, I charted him as 6 of 14, 73 yards, 2 throwaways, 3 tough throws. He was 0 of 3 on tough throws, 1 near pick, and 1 absolute dime. I don't think that's what an average quarterback puts up, personally. An average quarterback isn't averaging 50%, period, completion rate. So I know that makes me sound like a hater. I think he had an exceptionally poor game in both halves, because if he has even an average game, we're going into the half leading by 10 points or more, and then we just hang on for dear life the rest of the way.
So, you remember the Battle of Gettysburg?
Sure. I've learned about it in history class.
Yeah. Well, and this is not trying to talk about like the country as a whole right now, but just talking purely from a
historical
strategic,
okay.
Well, just purely from a strategic tactical issue. Like you would say, all right, there was at one point where Longstreet wanted to kind of play it safe, hold a superior position, and was ordered to attack.
Scotty, this is the most nerdy version of our podcast.
Is it not? Well, what I'm saying is this ultimately is, all right, so, like say Longstreet leaves a good position, attacks, and I'm sure what's cool is that I am not nearly, history military buff, and maybe like our 3 viewers are going to call me out on this one. That actually would be nerdy and cool too. But what we'll say is this: so Longstreet loses, his portion, but he was ordered to do so. He was put in an kind of impossible position, ends up losing. So yeah, there's no denying the numbers are ugly for Bowers, but you got to also say, at some times, what really felt like to me, as I was watching the game, was, all right, so some of those were flat out drops, but there were certain situations where he was asked to make throws, and it was an awful play call. It was an awful play call. Like, one of the things I said on Twitter to Robot Larry was, dude, there were times where we called a play and it was like trying to charge a formation of pikemen with their spear set. It's just not smart. Like, okay, love the call to go for it on 4th down, right? Where we clearly set it up. We're going to run the ball. We're going to use all 4 downs.
This is the incomplete pass to Stovall, by the way, in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
3rd quarter.
Right. And I replayed that thing about 20 times. And Clancy Pendergast, USC's defensive coordinator, absolutely took Bo Baldwin's lunch money, because after showing press man, like a cover 0 look, which Clancy, was kind of infamous for using with us, he switched it up on 4th down, and it looked like he went quarters or zone, because we ran mesh, which is an air raid play, right, where you have your receivers crossing.
Yep.
That it's a man beater. You can't. It's going to freeze someone up short, boom, easy completion. And instead, they had a bleep ton of defenders all there. Ross had nowhere to go. The deeper receivers were absolutely blanketed. They were like triple teamed because the guys were in zone. So mesh doesn't work if you got guys all there in the middle, all in zone. And even if he completed the ball to Stovall, he was nowhere close to getting it. I don't really put that on Ross. And increasingly, as the second half went on, they basically went, all right. They were throwing in some Tampa 2, where they just kind of knew, okay, we've got one effective receiver. They were daring us to run. They basically took their defense, they heavily skewed it, playing coverage, because the two classic ways you mess with the mind of a young quarterback. One, you send pressure, which is what I thought Clancy was going to do because he loves doing that. But the other way you mess with a young quarterback is you actually play coverage, and you make him think, you force him to put the ball in tight windows. And as you have, pointed out, Ross's accuracy kind of comes and goes. So he may not be seeing things quickly enough. He may not be feeling confident putting his ball in small windows. And honestly, outside of Wharton and maybe Noah, our guys, I don't think they're getting much separation. They're not for him. And so this is that whole, like, I can't believe I burned through like almost my entire data plan arguing with people on Twitter over should we run more, pass more. But it felt like a lot of the throws that he made and missed go for that ball. So yeah, he didn't do what we wanted him to do. I think we agree on that. But I guess I'm shading some of that to, like, we've seen really, really good quarterbacks. Webb, you've seen Goff, even seen Rodgers. You've seen them struggle going against defenses that were absolutely set. Hey, we're not going to let you beat you with the pass. Like Goff's meltdown game against Utah. Us, all right, go for it. Like all of those quarterbacks have struggled against situations where the defense said, we don't respect your ability to run, so we're going to key on this. We're just going to make it really, really hard for you to hit guys. And what makes it harder, what compounds the issue with, D-Rob being out, Stovall maybe coming back from injury, we're not going to speculate, but right now, like if I were the defense, I'd just double Wharton, double Noah, take my chances everywhere else, and life is good. Maybe have somebody sit on that short halfback wheel route, swing route, because that seems to be kind of our go-to, like easy yardage, like our variant of a run play. And so when the defense kind of knows that you don't have that many other options and you have to make the tough pass, that's a tough thing for a young quarterback. So that's I'm not disagreeing with your assertion that, man, we need better production out of that position, but I'm thinking that Cal coaches have to be thinking, we got to do something a little different. We got to help him out, because it's a lot to ask a young guy to carry us right now, to make things.
That's a large part of why I was like, we should run the ball. And I know the numbers will say we didn't run the ball very well. And we've had a long discussion with Robot Larry about when should we have run the ball, blah, blah, blah. To me, having him even throw at a 50-50 run-pass ratio in the first place was a mistake. We did not have any winning matchups. We tried a lot of times to go to empty in hopes of, picking out a winning matchup. But with D-Rob not on the field and, Wharton won a fair share, Noah won a fair share. But outside of that, we have, we tried all of our backups, guys who we're excited about in the future. Jeremiah Hawkins has been playing pretty well. Stovall was back, but looked rusty. We did not have any winning matchups. And I feel like if we just kept running the ball stubbornly, like we talked about last week, just keep pounding it, even if you're only going to get 3 yards at a time, you're just going to do enough to shorten the game. And against a vastly superior opponent, like that's the way to go.
Yeah, I got to shout out your friend, Otavio.
Shout out Otavio. He's watching right now.
Oh, good, man. He nailed it. I thought when the first tweet storm went in, honestly, like 99% of my tweets were just to piss off Robot Larry. Because, like, I hadn't seen the game. Stupid Xfinity. I had the thing recorded. I had it all set. It's stupid. I got the game recorded. It will only let me watch it on my home network. So all their BS about watch anything anywhere, you can't watch anything. So like, oh, this is stupid.
Anti shout out to Comcast.
Oh yeah, you. Oh, I guess I actually am allowed to call them assholes on the air, but who knows? Yeah, I'm going to get complaints from our producer, right? Like we're not allowed to do that, but assholes, because so I hadn't seen the game at all. So at that point, it's just fun giving Robot Larry crap because like we're different. We are entirely different people how we analyze things. He loves the numbers, and I hate math. So I go more on eye test and gut. And so then I went and I felt, okay, now I'm feeling all bad because, Robot Larry's, getting all rusty from his tears and getting all upset. So I'm watching the game on YouTube and I'm overly caffeinated and I'm going at it I'm going play by play, replaying, looking at all of that, just really kind of feeling the rhythm and flow of the game. And I had to say that, yeah, all non-trolling aside, absolutely felt like we needed to run the ball more. And I don't give a. Okay, we'll censor that part. I don't really care what the stats say about because he's they're oh no, it's not. Look at the numbers.
It's not
It runs
YP,
without, like,
it's not YPP like smart, but you have to
I
have the threat of the run. Period.
I think that folks that overly rely on YPP and YPP, I'll just respectfully say I completely disagree with that because there are times where runs, they're not really, like every time you run the ball, you're not thinking you're going to break off a 15-yard shot here or there. If you're just purely looking at production, you should pass the ball all the time. You're going to get more yardage with it. And yet, you got to keep folks, especially a team like SC, where if they know there's one thing, and that's one thing Clancy is really good at, is just, oh, you're just going to do this, huh? It's doom. It's absolute doom. It's just keeping them off balance. Like, if nothing else, forcing them to keep personnel in to respect it. And I felt like you were a lot stronger or harsher on Baldwin than I was. You said that he panicked. I think that he was just a little slow to adjust.
Oh my God, you read my column.
I do, man. You know what? I print them out and I hang them on my wall. And oh, well, now we're getting creepy. No, yeah, I don't know that it was so much panic as like he's got to be, as he's thinking through this. All right, what's he doing? What's his tendencies? I'm going to do this. Like, honestly, when I was trying to think from Baldwin's point of view, I'm thinking is what I'm thinking. Like, I had no idea. It's like, all right, we've got kind of not a great. Our running game is sporadic. We've got only one running back that can consistently pick up yards. Specs Laird got a little dinged up in the second half, and that may have influenced Baldwin's decisions. I think that Baldwin is really frustrated that Nweri just won't get behind his pads, get low, and fall forward for 3 yards. And I don't think he's confident yet in the young guys, doing what they need to do. So you've got kind of a gimped running game. You got a quarterback whose arm has not proven to be effective yet beyond, X distance. You've got receivers where, because they're able to condense things, like you need that fast guy to kind of open things up. You don't have that seam guy, like that tight end or that reliable inside guy where you can attack the middle of the field. You've got a lot of, not sure if this is going to be a full option yet. And I really, the armchair part goes, yeah, you needed to run the ball more to kind of take the pressure off of him, to force them to at least acknowledge it, to force them, like they were having a lot of looks where all they had was, their star linebacker, their star linebacker, everyone else is in coverage. So you got 5 guys in the box. You got your tailback, you got 5 guys, that's kind of a great zone read time, right? Or just
he doesn't.
You win your one-on-ones.
He does not pull for zone read.
Yeah. No, and so he's clearly coached out of that. So even if you're just handing the thing off and you're pulling a guy, in theory, you have a numbers advantage on one side because all they have is one linebacker in there. And if your guard can pull, take out their linebacker, okay. Now what you do, you force them. You do that a time or two, and even if you're not getting huge yardage, now you're forcing them to make decisions about their personnel. They can't just go and say, we're going to go pure dime on you. And it's that balance part. And it just, judgment call. Baldwin clearly felt more confident. Even if the defense was completely skewed against the pass, he was feeling more confident with, calling his offense that way. And unfortunately, in terms of small sample size, in that period of time where they were doing it, like our successful drive in the second half, we were pretty balanced. And then where the wheels were coming off, it was, he called like several passes, first down, second down, first down, second, all in a row. And then, turnovers after that, then you can't make any decisions. You can't, because then you're in desperation mode. Oh, man, we just talked too long. That was just painful.
We should move on. Scotty,
Yep.
also this is super embarrassing, but whatever, it's live and you can handle this for right now. Scotty, please give the listeners a preview of what we can expect from Oregon, because we should probably just move away from the emotional pain of this game. I
think we should just, okay. So the thing that
Yes, go ahead. I'm going to mute my mic.
Okay, guys. So I'm filling in. Nam's muting his mic because he's probably talking to somebody more important than all of you. But all the research that I did on Oregon, we'll look at their defense first, because their defense last year was an unexpected hot mess. They stole the defensive coordinator from Colorado with bags and bags of Nike money. And this is Jim Leavitt. Jim Leavitt likes to run a 3-4. Last year, they had Brady Hoke, who was trying to make them run a 4-3, even though they had recruited for a 3-4, and it sucked. Jim Leavitt does like to be aggressive, but really the key matchup for us to look at is what's going to happen on the left side of our line, because at pivotal moments of the game against SC, we had issues with pressure from the left tackle and the left guard spot. And what Oregon loves to do, they call it their 4-0-4 look, where they put their nose tackle at the 0 technique, which is right over the center. They line up their ends at the 4 technique, which is attacking the inside or the tackles. So basically trying to shoot the gap between the guards and tackles. And what they'll do then is they'll take a linebacker and they'll attack the outside of the tackle. And that's exactly the type of look that resulted in the pressure that resulted in that clinching turnover against SC. It's when they attacked, that left guard tackle tandem. And unfortunately, Oregon's best defensive lineman, Jokes, had 5 TFLs this last week against ASU, and he's going to be attacking exactly that. Their secondary is young, which is good, because that Leavitt likes also to do is to play kind of a combo coverage, where he'll do cover 2 on one side and like a really aggressive quarters on the other. And it makes it really hard for a younger quarterback to figure out what the heck's going on, because the coverage isn't the same. It's exactly like what you want to use against us, because you do a cover 2 on the side with Wharton, kind of a quarters look on the side with Noah, and don't care the heck about anyone else. Offense, Oregon, still Oregon. McTaggart comes over from...
I'm here, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I see you.
Okay, just in case.
No, I see you. So, like McTaggart comes over and he still likes a spread attack. He likes fast. He likes up tempo. His teams at South Florida were Central Florida. It was one of the Floridas. Like they were a little more run heavy. One thing that's been kind of odd with their quarterback, though, is, when they played some nobodies earlier, and I guess Nebraska's not Nebraska. Otherwise, normally you wouldn't consider them a nobody. But against ASU,
1 of 11 on third down.
And they didn't really give Royce Freeman the ball. And their quarterback, Herbert, he likes to pass more than he likes to run. And they seem a little confused identity-wise. Like they've always been a spread to run team, under the last few regimes. McTaggart And I don't really have a feel on what he wants to do, but I just know in reading all the Oregon boards, they're complaining about bubble screens, which I found really funny, just from a kind of gallows humor type of view. But I feel good about our defense's ability to hang with them. They've had a bunch of injuries to the receivers. So it's really more, our guys have been disciplined. They've been pretty good at facing diverse attacks. Like you got your pro style SC, you've got your kind of spread air raid. Ole Miss look like we had some issues earlier against attacking the edges, but they were pretty darn sound against that. They've been working on that. So I feel okay, with our D. What I really don't know is, so, like Arizona State ran through the Ducks defense just like nothing. I don't know that our offense is going to score enough. Kind of a weird place to be in after the last few years, but that would be the question for me is, can we run the ball on them? Can we protect Bowers on his weak side from the things that Levitt likes to do?
Well, shoot. I mean, that's like half the stuff that I was going to talk about. Like,
well, hey man, you shouldn't have gone to take that special cell phone call while turning it over to me.
I was in the bathroom, Scotty. Who
Okay,
can have a cell phone call in like the 30 seconds that I was gone? I like to have a couple before I get on the call because it helps me talk candidly. It's like mystery contents that are in my mug. I'm just protecting myself legally. But
that's fine. I'm dying in this room because there's no EC in the unit we have, and so I've got the door closed.
Wow,
So
dentist salary cannot afford air conditioning in your hotel suite.
Well, when you do, my wife booked it, and when you do Airbnb, sometimes like they'll describe it, and you show up and go, oh,
this looks nice.
Yeah,
no, it's not what it is.
Well, normally at this time of the year, you don't need AC. It's friggin' Montreal. There's snow 9 months of the year. But we happen to have record-setting temperatures.
That's fun. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we're making it work. Lots of cold beer.
Short version, Scotty covered most of it. If we want to beat Oregon, I know I wrote in my column that I think we're going to beat Oregon. I'm walking that back slowly because we have no idea if Vic and where he's injured or not, or why he disappeared in the second half. I think we'll keep it close. We're going to keep it close regardless, because I have a feeling that they're not going to make Ross Bowers pass 50 times this time. And the part of why the game fell apart was like once we went down 10, we felt panicked to try to catch up. And part of why I feel like we'll definitely cover. The opening line was 16.5 points. I will eat a hat if we lose by 16.5 points, unofficially. If you try to recite this clip back at me on Twitter, I will deny it happened. I was clearly exaggerating and under the influence of a couple. That being said, I feel pretty confident we're going to keep it close. Like, this Cal Bears team can fight with anybody. I don't see us getting blown out this year. The combination of generally, last week being the exception, generally being a ball control offense, generally being totally being very strong on defense, at least against FBS teams, makes me feel good that we should be able to hang on against them. We should be fine, but it depends a lot about how we're going to get yards rushing. The other thing is one of the reasons why they lost to ASU last week was being able to break tackles in the secondary, and that's something that does work well to our advantage. A lot of the yak yards that haven't been there the last couple of weeks might be there again. Oregon seems to struggle a lot with tackling in the secondary, which is how N'Keal Harry and former Cal commit Jalen Harvey. Oh my God, I'm so sad about Jalen Harvey. But former Cal commit Jalen Harvey got loose is yards after catch. So maybe that works in our favor.
And Oregon, aren't they like the number 2 most penalized team? Like in FBS, it's something crazy. I don't know what's going with your sound, man, but I'm hearing myself echoing.
All right, you are? That's weird because you're only in my headset. Okay.
All right. Well, I've been trying to push through it, but ever since you came back from your so-called bathroom break, it's been weird.
Okay, that's really interesting. Well, we'll deal with it. That being said, that's our general preview. Scotty, real quickly for predictions, do you think we win the game?
Yeah, the funny thing is that a couple weeks ago, I had called it as just nah. Remember, we were going through can we, and I just said nah. We're going to go through the stretch where SC, Oregon, UW, it's just going to be brutal. I can't believe we have so much to talk about post SC. That's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that 16.5 line. I call it a pick'em game.
You think it's a pick'em? Okay. Well,
yep.
I don't know if we win or not. So much depends on Ross. But I think we're going to be competitive. I don't think we're getting blown out against them. In fact, outside of UW, which is unfortunately the game that I'm going to be in attendance for, like we should be pretty competitive the rest of the year. I don't see us getting our asses kicked by anybody. We look prepared. We look like we're going to be ready to go, and I have a ready-made excuse in case we don't, which is that we just don't have the personnel to fit the defensive or offensive schemes just yet. You know, it's good. It's good. I don't know why people still watch us. We have 11 viewers right now. This is crazy. I don't even.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, people take our opinions. Yeah, people take our opinions seriously, Scotty.
Well, I think they take your opinion seriously.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, Scotty, do you want to take some questions?
Sure. We already. Well, I kind of already tweeted the answers to, like, what was it?
We already what?
Darnold, great forehead or greatest forehead.
Okay. I'm searching currently for the thread that we used at first. First one, we didn't really answer this by Terrence yet. Who is the most currently important injured player and why?
Trey Watson.
Open it for Trey. Oh, that's a hot take. Go ahead and answer Trey Watson.
Because not only does Trey Watson that extra, like right now, I think some of the running issues is the coaches have zero confidence behind Laird. And I'm just trying to be kind of delicate about with the depth chart, but there's something weird going on there. And the other part is that Watson being just a great receiver and all around, player, pass pro, knowing everything. He adds a lot of versatility to what I think Baldwin likes to do. So right now, and I know the easy thing to pick is D-Rob, but he's just been a run fast down the field guy. And Watson is kind of a proven versatile threat. So I think that he would do more for our offense than D-Rob, and that's about as hot a take as I get.
You guys, this is going to be really boring, but I was going to pick D-Rob because I feel like Laird exceeded all expectations as a runner. Vic stepped it up last week. Like, we have a somewhat effective running game. Now, I think the thing is, like, Laird is a strong tackle breaker, but maybe he doesn't offer as much explosive upside against the USCs and the UWs of the world. But, we have a solid replacement for him in Laird. We have a solid replacement for Watson in Laird. We have no replacements for D-Rob. We have no vertical threat even if it's just a threat, and I know he's not a complete player yet, and I even factoring in Ross's inability to hit him on some of the deep routes so far, just having him out there changes the calculus a little bit. And yes, D-Rob should be playing better. He should be able to get a little bit more explosiveness when he's, on those drags and on those crosses. He should be more open than he is right now. I understand that. But I think if we had him out there, that would really change a lot of the numbers because we have at least some sort of reasonable substitute for Watson. We have none for D-Rob at the moment. All right, I think I found the thread. No? Okay, yes. All right, here we go. Question number 2. We're going to try to wrap it up because we are at an hour. All right, this is from Robot Larry. Robot Larry, is the loss Adams are enough's fault for saying the positive turnover margin was sustainable?
Whenever this is one of those other rules. One, it takes a year for linebackers to develop. 2, you don't win with young quarterbacks. 3, you win with seniors. Something about a Lamornasia. And then last, you always blame Adams when you can.
And on a more serious take for this question, which was again, is it Adams' fault for saying the positive turnover margin was sustainable? I don't think it's necessarily anybody's fault. I think we're always due for some regression. I mean, I've been saying this from week 1. I personally felt like Ross's game that first week was very smoke and mirrors. So, we'll see how he develops from here. But we were always going to commit more turnovers at some point. He was getting away with a lot of stuff, or at least teams were going to adjust against him. Question number 2 is from my good friend Ben Weiss. What is your best duck recipe, Scotty?
Oh, I've got a really good one if you have a pellet smoker. Yeah, because what you'll do is you marinate that bad boy with some soy, garlic, ginger, vinegar. Like Terrence is going to give me grief for not doing a foil tint. Yeah, I don't foil tint it. I'll just put it on the pellet smoker, 225, 4 hours, and then meanwhile, you smoke up some of those. You steam some of those white buttons with scallions, and it's just awesome. Decimated. No leftovers.
Well, for me, I don't believe in the whole having duck thing anymore. If you remember a few years ago, who was it? Defensive lineman. I'm totally blanking right now. But one of the Cal defensive linemen showed up to a press conference with roast duck. I had some before the game. We haven't been close. No, it wasn't McCain. I'm blanking right now. I don't want to Google it. But you remember the story.
Oh yeah, there was even before your time. There was a really bad TV show, Territory. They went to an Oregon tailgate offering roast duck or smoked duck, and we got blown away for like the next decade.
Yeah, so there are no good duck recipes. We beat them last year. They're not unbeatable. A lot will come down to whether or not Royce Freeman looks healthy, and can we run the ball? It's a lot of that stuff.
And mistakes.
Can we not make any? How much difference would a healthy Melquist / Demetrius would have made yesterday? We would have won with them.
Yep.
All right. Next question is from Rico. Rico may still be listening right now. Rico, when will the offense catch up to the defense? I said 2018. Maybe
say next year.
That's generous.
Yeah.
I think 2019, to be honest. The defense is playing. I know, like, stats-wise, the defense is only like 80th, 75th in the country, whatever, but...
Oh, but only fools rely purely on stats.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the gut, to me, the gut says 2019 because there's some offensive line help that really needs to arrive. Although...
I think it's next year.
astute readers of my column will notice this. I got a message from somebody who knows offensive line play a lot better than me, and they said, you know, within 2 years, Mike Saffold, who did take some snaps at right guard for Ryan Gibson, will be an all-conference lineman in a couple of years. We'll see. But again, that is something that I have heard, just so you know. There you go. Otavio chimed in. It is Mustafa Jalil. That was who I was talking about.
Okay, yeah.
I've had a couple, but he knew.
No. One of our absolute favorite. Just, I remember his parents have a restaurant down in San Diego.
Huh? Did not know that.
Hmm? Oh, I'm supposed to come up with something. I
thought you were gonna say something after his parents.
Again. So
sorry, I thought you were about to say something.
The problem I'm having is I have this awful echo feedback, so it's not like I'm trying to talk like the architect from the Matrix, but I can't talk any other way right now, man.
Sorry, I thought you were about to continue. That's why I looked at my phone real quickly. All right.
Millennials and their phones.
I know, right? That actually does it for the questions that we have this week. So, Scotty, I think it's time for shout-outs. You go for shout-outs?
Well, I can't think of players right now. I'm just thinking about Puerto Rico, man. If we're going to go shout-outs.
Damn it. Not a consistent theme here is that Scotty makes me look bad in the shout-outs. So obviously thoughts out to Puerto Rico, thoughts out to Houston and every other, and Mexico too, all the areas that have suffered with all these ridiculous, crazy weather and natural disaster related things lately. Again, if you can help, please do. We would appreciate that. And, it's just within our spirit as Golden Bears to be giving and to try to be the best people that we can. I actually did have a shout out, but now I feel like it would be weird for me to share one.
No, go shout out, man. Go shout out, because I think everyone understands that. It's not really trying to make you look bad. It's just I can't think of anything player wise, so I just think of what's on my mind. And I got humbled because one of the better Cal fans that I know, and Bears on CGB, when she says stuff, you listen. And she's just been constantly going, hey man, you really need that. And she's like, think about Puerto Rico. What's being done? How do you help? And I wouldn't have thought about it if she hadn't said something. So it's humbling for me to just say that, but better person than I
am. So real quickly as we wrap up, I wanted to throw a shout out to Kenawai Noah. Not even all there yet, making a ridiculous catch every game, threat in the middle of the field. His job's not even easy yet. I'm excited to see what he does in the future. Thought he had a really great game against a tough, athletic SC defense. So that sounds really trivial with all the things we have going on politically, socially, just across the world at the moment. Thoughts out to everybody, obviously. And, if you can do something and you're lucky enough in the position to do something, please do, even if you don't have much to give. So I feel like that's about as good a place to leave it as any. Yes, Scotty?
That's about where we are, my friend.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of a very odd live podcast. Last week, Scotty's dogs interrupted. This week, I had to take a bathroom break right in the middle. Whatever. I like to have a couple to loosen up. Sue me. So, for the pod is on the field, my name is Nam Lay. Thank you so much for listening. I have been joined this week, as always, internationally this time. Internationally by my partner, Scott Chong. All I have to say is thank you and go Bears.
Go Bears.